What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ship Online. So happy to be back with you guys. Missed you guys last Wednesday, but I heard it was an incredible time. And we're actually going to be talking about today what you guys talked about again, continuing our series, Not a Fan, What It Means to Be a Disciple. So to start out, we're going to read our definitions of what a fan is and what a disciple is. So a fan is an admirer of several people or things, a person who follows for personal pleasure. A disciple is someone who is accepted by and walks closely with their one and only master, who follows out of a reverence for and belief in their master and their mission. Fans watch, disciples engage. And so what we're doing is breaking down exactly what it means to be a disciple. Last week we talked about how a disciple knows that they need saving. We read the story, or the parable rather, of the Good Samaritan and how we are the man who was left for dead, and how Jesus is the Good Samaritan that came to save us, and that a disciple first needs to know that they need saving, and Jesus came to give us that saving. And today we're going to look at a story written just after that in the book of Luke about two women, Mary and Martha. And so we're going to read Luke 10, starting at verse 38. It says, "As Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught, but Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, 'Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me.'" So after reading that, again, we're looking at the different characters in these stories. Who looks more like the disciple to you in this story? Martha, who's doing all the work, she's cooking dinner, she's cleaning, she's preparing everything for Jesus, right? Or Mary, who's simply sitting and listening at his feet. Now me, I primarily would jump to think, okay, Martha looks like more of the disciple here because she's serving, she's trying to get things ready, she's doing things for Jesus, again, out of love, out of trying to serve him well. But we see here, Jesus actually has a different perspective, right? And so if we keep reading, starting in verse 40, Jesus says, "But the Lord said to her, 'My dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her.'" So Jesus turns and says that actually Mary is acting like the disciple in this story. So why is that? I think what he's trying to get at is not that the things that Martha were doing were wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with serving, with preparing things for people. It's actually part of what we're called to do, right? There's nothing wrong with the things that she was trying to do with Jesus. But what Jesus was getting at here was more of the heart, right? It said that Martha got distracted with the things. She got distracted with the little details when Jesus himself was sitting in her living room. And why he says Mary has found the one thing worth being concerned over, is that he is really the one thing that matters. Out of everything, out of all the little details, the things that can get confusing, things that get busy about our life, he is the one thing that matters and the one thing that will never be taken away from us. So why Mary is the disciple here is because she was fixated on Jesus first. And what we want to take away from this is, second of all, how last week we know a disciple first needs to know that they need saving. And this week is that a disciple is solely focused on Jesus first, right? Before we get into talking about what the outward actions are of what it looks like to be a disciple, because we are called to go somewhere and to do something, first we have to know that our heart and our eyes have to first be focused on Jesus, because otherwise we will get too distracted with the things of life and the work and the little details that don't actually matter, and miss out on the thing that actually does matter. So for our takeaway for this week, before we can go out and do the things of being a disciple, we have to first be solely focused on Jesus and have him at the center of our heart, our mind, and our vision.